I was taking this home to give it to my dad. That was his meal. And I
Wow.
remember one time I forgot to bring that home, and my dad looks at me and goes, "I guess I'm not gonna eat today. Thanks." You know, what does it do to a 14-year-old
Yep.
to know that you're responsible to make sure that you got to bring that back home?
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Trained Well, where we help insurance agents sell more, train faster, and win bigger. I'm George Elossais, and our guest today is someone who truly embodies the phrase American Dream in action. Hayk Tadevosyan, a fellow member of the Hard Last Names to Pronounce Club, who went from immigrating to the U.S. as a teenager with virtually nothing to his name to building one of the most successful insurance agencies in the country. He's an insurance agent with multiple offices in Washington. And get this, his team has written over 1,100 policies across agencies in 1 month. Hike has also racked up accolades like President's Club and Million Dollar Round Table, but what really stands out is his passion for helping others succeed. Hike isn't just an insurance agent, he's also an entrepreneurial coach and author. He founded the training platform 100appteammember.com to teach insurance agency teams how to replicate his success, and he's the author of The Power of Mindset, a book that dives into how to find true fulfillment even when you're hitting your sales goals. In his own journey, Hike discovered the importance of balancing what he calls the 4 F's: family, fitness, friendship, and finances. We're going to talk about how that philosophy helped him go from feeling empty to feeling on top of the world. We'll also get into his sales strategies. He's got over 200 training videos and even one on one coaching for insurance teams on his platform. His mindset shifts for success, and how to overcome adversity. Hike is also a dedicated family man, a deacon in his community, and an endurance athlete. So he brings a really well rounded perspective on what it takes to excel in business and life. Get ready for an inspiring and business focused conversation with someone who truly has walked the walk. Hike, welcome to the show.
Honor to be here, George. Thanks for asking me to be a guest, and
Of
really
course.
loved your introduction. I loved hearing all of it, and as my wife says, my I have a big head and it just got bigger. So thank you for that.
Yeah, right. I hear the same thing all the time. I work with my father-in-law, so anytime I win, he's like, "Well, we're gonna have to widen the doors." So I
Good problem
totally
to
get
have.
it. Well, I always start with this: Hike. You were born, now you're here. What happened in between?
Oh man, what didn't happen in between? A lot. I mean, a lot. Born in Armenia, and with the fall of the Soviet Union collapse, I think my family took the route of most other families, as in middle class kind of got wiped out with the fact that we lost people working 9 to 5, and people were seeking refuge and they were seeking success elsewhere. And I remember, I don't know, was it maybe early 90s, when the Hollywood was picking up and selling all these stories to the world about you go to America and all of a sudden you become overnight success.
Mhm.
It didn't hit us early enough, but a lot of families did move to America. A lot of Armenians were moving to LA and
Mhm.
California. And there's like million Armenians, million plus living there right now because of that. A lot of them went there, started businesses, and it became this, the second capital of Armenia is Los Angeles, right? So a lot of people are there. So we didn't get to it quick enough because my father was very entrepreneurial, very quick to do things, and Russia was also a popular destination. So my family went to Russia. I actually started first grade in Russian school, and I didn't speak Russian, and I was the only non-Russian kid. This is how like local everything was in Russia at the time. Like the neighborhood we lived in entire school, I'm the only non-Russian kid in Russian school. So, you know, took a while to fit in. First fight story, long story short, and then by third grade, I'm already fitting in with the Russian kids. I'm, which you might call it Russianized at this point. I'm thinking in Russian, from first to third grade, and my family's like, Russia's not working out for us. We got to go back to Armenia. We'll go back to Armenia, relearn Armenian. And finally, like my Armenian gets caught up to where we should be, like sixth grade. My family is like, we're going to go to America, but this time it's just you and dad. So, long story short, there too, came to America at 13. Um, you know, School of Hard Knocks. It was a very humbling experience. Quickly became homeless. It was just me and my dad. A lot of good lessons. I, ended up when I published the book, I wrote about the story, what it meant to me. And if there's any lessons I learned from a kid who, a mommy's boy, got taken away from his mom, and we were living on people's couches, homeless. I remember I share this a lot, where what does it do to a child when in middle school, you're eating your breakfast and then you're saving, those cheeseburgers that are tinfoil wrapped cheeseburgers that would give in middle school, at least I
Yep.
did back in my day. I would save that and put it in my backpack, and my kids would be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm not hungry. I'm gonna eat this later." But what I wasn't telling anybody, and I just actually got comfortable to tell the story like a few years ago, is I was taking this home to give it to my dad. That was his meal. And I
Wow.
remember one time I forgot to bring that home, and my dad looks at me and goes, "I guess I'm not gonna eat today. Thanks." You know, what does it do to a 14-year-old to know that you're responsible to make sure that you got to bring that back home? So, there's a lot of philosophical things that it might do to you, a lot of victimizing things, a lot of, oh, this is happening to me. And I remember that kind of gave me a belief system. And I think we all have a story, right, George? The experiences you go through, the life you live, the three of the best lessons in life: a black eye, a broken heart, and empty pockets. I feel like I had all three at once. I don't wish that upon anybody. I hope you don't have all three at once, but I think all of us experience at least one of those. And it just, those three things keep coming back, right? And I realized that instead of victimizing myself, it was not happening to me because I was blaming the world. Oh, I got taken away from mom. I don't speak English. Success isn't for the immigrant. Oh, it was the skin color, the hairline, the upbringing. So the kids who came into this business with some inheritance, this is for them. The immigrants don't do well in the insurance business. I had all these limiting belief systems. And quickly I realized, we can do well with my story. And instead of blaming, I started learning to take responsibility. And I quickly learned it wasn't happening to me, it was happening for me. And here I am today. I heard your introduction. I'm like, well, that sounds fancy. It sounds cool. But what does have to happen between birth and now to have that kind of a bio? Well, I feel like a lot of it started making sense in the last like 6, 7 years of my life when things started coming together. And I do truly feel like I am living the American dream now. But at the same time, it's like, oh, sounds like you made it. But the amount of anxiety, the amount of responsibility, the amount of discipline it takes to maintain this level of production, and 24 team members, you got, six-figure people working for you. They're buying investment properties and cars. Like, it's a different level of stress, but it's every bit of what I ask for. And also another big valuable lesson in my life: be very careful what you ask for. Because if you ask it enough times, you get it. But what you don't know is the side of fries that the meal comes with, which is good. The overthinking, the am I enough? Am I good enough? Am I doing enough? The enough question but it's a definitely a problem I've been asking. So today I get to live every bit of what I've asked for, the American dream, and I get to have every bit of the issues, good first world problems that I've wanted my entire life. So
Sure.
yes, American dream is true, and I think what's dead is hard work. And I think as long as you can put in the work and not go against man's and God's laws, you too and anybody else can live this American dream life.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, wouldn't you agree the barrier to win, unfortunately and fortunately, is lower than ever, right? You keep your promise. You work consistently. That's almost enough now to beat the average person, let alone if you go above and beyond, right?
Yeah, I mean the standards are different. Again, when if you look at the boomers, right, the most successful group of people, like the generation there is, if you the biggest transfer of wealth, they have the most money. They woke up the stock market, they woke up the real estate. I mean, they put America together, right? And if you think about that generation, you talk to them, every single one of them was all about hard work. Every single one of them was all about grit and figuring things out. And who cares about how you feel? Do the work. Nobody cares about your feelings. I mean, they wrote all these good books that are helping us, but kind of ties to this evolution of like this 100-year repeatable thing that I think it's happening right now. I'll give you an example. Post World War II, baby boom happened, right? School districts were built, the stock market, I mean, everything took off after that, right? And if you think about it, those are really tough times. Like World War II was a tough time for America. So what do tough times do? Tough times create really tough people, right? You're the product of the environment. And if it's a tough environment, you become tough, as in you cope, you adapt, or you die. So they became tough. Tough people solve all the problems. They create easy times. Easy times create soft people, which is where we at now. And then soft, easy, the pleasure seekers, they create tough time, which is what we're entering now, right? So it's going to be a cycle. The next generation is going to be some hardcore go-getters, right? So I feel like right now it's easier than ever. I mean, I'm hearing messages from some of my peers who got 18-year-old kids who are looking for work-life balance at 18. My dad was telling me that you're 18, there's no balance, dude. Just work. What do you mean you're crying because you didn't like what happened at at the office? Like, So that's what I was taught with the boomer father, right? So I feel like that could be passed down a generation, but the third generation kind of loses it. And I think that's kind of what's happening right now. It's a lot of people are getting out of college thinking about work-life balance and happiness, and they're not used to getting a no. They're also used to having this very capable parent that solved all their problems for them. Whenever they complain, they realize they hit the real world, and their complaints is not solving the problem. They have to solve it themselves. And the problem with the boomers is they're so capable, so connected, so wealthy. Every time they hear a complaint, they fix it. And they don't know how to teach it that well, too. So there's a lot of things happening right now where it is easier to be successful today because nobody's doing the work. Nobody's waking up at 5. Nobody's reading the self-help books. Just 10 years ago, people were doing it. And now it's like, the stuff I'm hearing, I'm like, man, I got some work to do with my kids.
Well, believe me, there's a lot more I want to get into with everything we were just talking about there, but I want to go back a little bit. How did you land on insurance in the first place? Right? How did you go from immigrating here, homeless, now you're like applying to become an insurance agent?
It's a good question. That's a joke in the industry that we never end up in this business by plan. I think maybe it might be a general sales thing. Like I didn't know I was going to be a car salesman, or I didn't go to school for insurance, right? So, for me, I think everybody has a person that might have pulled them into the business. For me, I got very lucky with a good mentor named John. At the time he was an executive for the company, and he just told me about the story. And I'm 18 years old, literally from 13 to 18. Me and my dad did every job possible, cleaning toilets and trash, and we had a job at YMCA. We would go to YMCA at nights to do the janitorial work, and my dad's like, all right, you got like 30 minutes. Maybe you use the equipment to work out. It's free gym membership for you, and you can wipe down the equipment, and I'll do the toilets, and then you take out the trash. We had this whole teamwork. And again, this is a kid doing this because we couldn't miss sending $200 back to Armenia because my mother, my sister, my brother depended on that $200 to buy food, right? So to me, the ability to make money was not an option. It was just you do what you can to make money. That $200 a difference between my sister, my brother eating meat versus just eating rice that month. So to me, the complaint was, if there's work, we got to do it. If there's no work, then we have a problem. So we were doing everything possible for every penny because every penny mattered. For years, we slept on a roll-up mattress that we got from Goodwill. We were finally able to afford this studio apartment, government subsidy program. I remember, like, I think rent was like $350 a month. Some months we couldn't afford that either. But
Wow.
we had this roll-up mattress that we bought for, like, I don't know, $30, and that was our bed. We roll it down, sleep, wake up, and that was normal life, right? So to me, it was more of a, if there's work available, you do it. And there was a point that we were in America where our visa expired and we're here without a status while we were applying for a green card. During that time, we couldn't really get a job. Only thing we could do is cash jobs. So at this point, we would do anything anybody would give us. So it's like jump how high. Like we were delivering pizzeria marketing material and sticking them on the people's mailboxes. We were, cleaning crap. We were doing janitorial businesses. We were doing construction. I got very good at masking. My dad became a painter. So I was taught a very valuable lesson by my dad. When somebody's offering you money and giving you a job in return, you be grateful and you take the job. So to me, anything that could make money mattered. And at 18, I remember we got a residency citizenship, and I turned 18, and I started working in sales because that's what a lot of self-help industry. I was obsessed reading every book you can imagine on the subject. Zig Ziglar, John Maxwell, Jim Collins, Good to Great. You can imagine, like, everything I could consume, I was consuming. And, talked about people's skills here and there. And I had a friend in sales. I got selling cell phones and sold cars. And I got introduced to the insurance industry because at the time in high school, I had a girlfriend whose dad was a sales leader or an executive for the company. And I saw that he had a perfect American life, couple of nice cars, amazing home, and here I'm living in low income subsidy apartments that nobody knows about.
Yep.
And to me, when somebody like that tells you what to do, you just follow. Like, I want to end up having a nice home and have a couple of nice cars. I want to be able to afford dinner in a restaurant. What is that? And he introduced me to a couple of local agents that were looking for talent, just the way I'm looking for talent for my office now. Interviewed, got a shot, worked for 3 years, became a good producer, and I'm 21. I'm like, you know what? I can do this for myself. I remember at 21, I interviewed, 22, opened up the office. I haven't turned back since. And it's kind of all I
Wow.
know at this point. I've been doing it. I just turned 38 a few days ago. I've been at it for a long time. This has been the one thing that I've been really, really focusing on for the last 18 years of my life.
I haven't done anything for 18 years. So, no, that's so. How did you go from like, obviously at one point it's just life happening, is life happening to you, right? And then it started going from life happening for you, and you started getting into self-help books and looking into that, developing yourself. What do you think was that shift that kind of led you to like sort of taking charge in your life?
Yeah. Um, I remember when I was consuming all of the self-help content I could consume, right? I wanted to become successful. I wanted to become Americanized. I wanted to learn English and everything else in between. Um, can't remember where. Maybe this was 10 years ago at a podcast or a book I read. It was just so much content. I feel like it was mashed together. But this one analogy came into my life. It was the difference between villains and heroes. And the explanation was they both have same origin story. If you look at like, Superman, Batman, you look at Thor, Marvel, DC, whatever the type of the heroes that you follow, there's always a villain, right? The opposition, and there's a hero. Something happened, right? Childhood trauma, they got taken away from home planet, parents got killed, something happened during childhood years when a hero had to make a decision. I'm gonna save the world so nobody feels this pain. And then there's the villain, right? Childhood trauma, get taken away from home planet. Something happened during those early years where they decide, I'm going to destroy the world to make sure everybody feels my pain, right? So it's almost a decision, right? What do you do with what happens? And I remember for the longest time I was victimizing myself. I was very average in the business and I got into, you know, I was doing just enough, just enough. And my excuse was I'm doing it. I'm doing what these billionaires recommend, the entrepreneurs say you should do. And I got into marathons. I lost some weight, but I wasn't doing it well. So it wasn't about doing difficult things. There's a lot of people who can start a business.
Hmm.
Just because you do doesn't mean you're making it,
Sure.
right? There's a lot of people who can run a marathon, but just because you are doesn't mean you're running it well. So I remember when I ran my first one, it was like 10 years ago. It was like a 7 hour horror story. Like my nutrition fell. I was trying to lose weight. That's why I did it. And I remember like mile 20, my legs completely failed. I was like a penguin walking to an aid station. And the lady's like, dude, you're covered in salt. Like you're really sweating a lot. Are you taking the electrolytes? And I'm like, what's an electrolyte? She goes, the Gatorade, the gels, and everything we're giving it like every couple of miles. I'm like, no, 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 that's bad for you. I'm trying to stay away from that so I can lose weight. For I've been training for this like 5 months. I've lost like 30 pounds. She literally looks at me. She goes, "You're an idiot." So I sit down. She takes Gatorade, dumps a bunch of tablespoons of salt in there, make me drink like two of those. Eventually, my legs come back. I somehow finish this marathon. I remember the epiphany of like understanding. I just did something difficult. I didn't do it well. I was like bottom 5%. Metaphorically speaking, my income was at the bottom 5%. The type of the friend I was at the bottom 5%. Like my entire life was at the bottom 5%. Yeah, I own a business, I run marathons, but I wasn't doing it well. Right? So that whole lesson about do difficult things, that is not enough. I learned that you got to take it to the next level and do difficult things well, because how you do anything is how you do everything. Just because you're doing things that challenge you, kind of, sort of, doesn't mean it's going to solve your problems. So I signed up for a better marathon. I hired a coach and I started going through all the necessary workouts. I learned what an actual electrolyte is. I bought the right gear, and then I got an hour quicker and I got an hour quicker. And as I became a better athlete who takes that part of his life seriously, as in I was controlling things that I could control, I wasn't complaining about things that I can't as much. Because in our business, we can complain a lot and easily. As in, we can complain about our premium is not the same here. Our territory is not the same. All the winners are in different states. So I had a lot of blame. Well, you can't really blame anybody other than yourself when you have to wake up 5 in the morning, put up 20 miles before you get to the office. It's all you versus you. And as I became more capable, as I was delivering myself on my own promises and I was doing exactly what I said I was going to do, I was not lying to the most important person in a relationship with myself, which is myself. as I got faster and better and I qualified for Boston, which now I was finishing races in top 5%. And then I discovered Ironman. I was finishing top 5% there as well. What's funny, tax bracket went up to the top 5%, top 1%. Income went up, right? So it's funny how this analogy of life, how you do anything is how you do everything. But again, just because you're doing difficult things isn't enough. So, long story short, where did the belief system, where did the things come from to get to the point where we are doing what we're doing? It's an evolution. It took time, George. I don't know, long answer to your short question, but it's one of those things that's ongoing. And again, you get what you ask for, and you get it. The question is, yeah, congratulations, you're able to now run a 3-hour marathon. You got to maintain that. Congratulations, you got a payroll of 24 people. You got professionals working for you. What do you do to maintain that? At this point, it's a different level of responsibility, right? So it's never comfortable. People think you make it and that's it. Like, as a matter of fact, this is the most amount of issues I'm dealing with. This is the most anxiety I have. This is the most I question myself. This is the most I say I don't know, but it's okay. I think people are fighting the idea of having thoughts of fear, of anxiety before they go to sleep, thinking that's a problem. No, it's completely normal. You should feel like you deserve that. It's happening for you, not to you. Like, I deserve the fact that I can go to sleep and think about, oh my goodness, I got a big problem to solve tomorrow because my manager's upset. Oh, that's a first world problem to have. Or it's like, are you serious? Right? So a lot of these issues, I think it's easier to think it's happening to you because now you blame the world, right? But we can take responsibility. Now it's you. You're the problem and you're also the solution, right? So it's a ongoing battle I have with myself to welcome these things, not to fight them.
Yeah. Well, it's like they say, I think a lot of people put like the more money, more problems in a negative connotation. And like to me, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, but to me it's like, yeah, there's more problems, but they're better problems.
Yeah,
You know
absolutely.
what I
I'll
mean?
take these problems over the when I had more money left at the end of the month. Excuse me, when I had more month left at the end of the money. Ideally, you want to have
Right.
money left at the end of the month, but I was having more month left at the end of the money. And that's an anxiety thought of knowing that you're letting people down, right? I don't want that problem. I've had that problem for too long, and I've prayed and asked for ways and capabilities to get out of it. And I've been blessed with things that happened for me. They give me the strength and the necessary resilience to get through those things, right? It's like, be careful what you ask for. You get it. But what do you do with it when it happens? Do you blame? Or do you like, okay, you know what? This was actually a lesson. That broken heart, I kind of needed that for the next chapter. Oh, the black eye, I needed that so next time I can keep my hand up so I don't get punched in the face. Oh, the empty pockets, oof, yeah, well, I kind of need to experience that because now I can coach somebody who's got an empty pocket and let him know, just stick to this for the next 5 years. You'll be fine.
Right. I mean, what would you say to that person out there that, they're young, they're getting out of college, they want work-life balance. Anytime they go out of their comfort zone, they get anxious and they dial back. They almost learn the wrong lesson, right? Instead of leaning in, I should avoid it. What would you say to that person to kind of like set them off in the right direction?
I think a lot of people are in a hurry, as in they want long term success in a short period of time. And you can't just run a marathon, which is life, right, in a short period of time. It's easier said than done. If you just run a 2 hour marathon, you'll be rich and famous because only one guy has ever done that, right? If you just outrun Usain Bolt, I mean, it's 9.5 seconds. You just do 9.4 and you'll be rich and famous. But, Usain Bolt gave feedback one time and he's like, it took me 10 years to run 9.5 seconds, right? So, and that's a piece like we want that result, but we just want instant gratification. We want it quick, and then we're disappointed. And all of a sudden, good luck functioning and performing when you're disappointed all the time because you have unrealistic expectations, right? I think anybody out of college in their 20s, and I was giving this feedback to one of my interns who was a PhD student. And my feedback, and she was asking, like, what do you think I should be focused on for the next 10, 20 years of my life? I'm like, this is not my advice. This is advice I've gotten from people that have mentored me. And by the way, don't wait for mentors to come into your life. Read their books and scriptures and listen to their podcasts. Like most of my
Right.
mentors don't even know I exist, right?
Right.
And this is advice coming from mentors. Spend 20s failing. Get as many black eyes and broken hearts and empty pocket moments as you can. Why? Because those are personal. You truly need to make these mistakes to learn. Best way to learn, the best teacher is the mistake, the pain. The overthinking at 2 in the morning where you wake up, you got bloodshot red eyes because you were replaying the same scenario of humiliation 8,000 times that night. Oh, that stays with you for life. So, how do you take something that personal? By failing. Black eye, empty pockets, and a broken heart, right? So, that's 20s. And we're very resilient. We're rubber in our 20s. Like the amount of stuff I recovered from my 20s, I'm like, I would die right now if that happens. I'm almost 40, you know? So, and I think that's a powerful lesson when I heard that. And I go back and think to myself from 20 to 30, oh my God, all I did was make mistakes. Now, I'm not saying stupid mistakes, but mistakes of actually trying and attempting of, again, signing up for a marathon without training. Metaphorically speaking, what the hell does this marathon have to do with income and business success and hiring? Oh, trust me, it's a part of who you are, and your best investment is you. And for you to be able to get better and stronger, you have to build calluses through failure. So therefore, you are your own best investment. And sometimes learning about yourself might be the best thing to improve yourself. And how do you learn about yourself? You can be reading about other people's success, or you can be attempting your own. And I think marathon taught me that, right? Running, endurance sport taught me that. And again, in 20s, I could do a lot of that and recover. Few weeks of loss of sleep and I'm good. 30s, I feel like most people should be just incorporating those lessons, those deep, meaningful lessons from failure in the 20s, because now you're not as resilient. And I'm not 40s yet. I feel like I was blessed with the advantage of being about 10 years ahead of most. Why? Because at 13, when kids were in middle school, I was doing what a 20-year-old does, right? So I've been, instead of me saying victimized, homeless, 13, kid, maybe it's a little bit heroic for me to say, I'm not going to victimize. I don't want the world to feel that pain. So I started earlier, right? So I feel like I've spent my teens failing a lot, 20s executing. Now I'm spending my 30s hiring and developing, which a lot of people should be doing that in their 40s, right? And replicating yourself should be a blessing, not a curse, right? That's why when you're young, all you need to be doing is focusing on becoming the best version of yourself. The strongest. If you can get a six pack, you get a six pack. If you can bench press 4 plates, you do that. If you can squat 5 plates, you do that. If you can run a marathon under 3 hours, you do that. If you can make 1,000 cold calls in a week consistently for a year straight, you do that. If you can be the top salesperson in whatever organization you're in, you do that too. Because now you become, right? You become the 4 minute mile. You become the 1,000 pound record holder. And in business success, it's all at this point about replicating yourself. I didn't write a single policy last year. My team wrote over 9,000 policies. This year, we're going to write 11,000 policies. I'm not going to write a single one. Why? I've replaced and replicated myself over and over and over. Thank God it's been a blessing. Can you imagine me being a negative, incapable, complaintful, all I do is blame? I would have had 4 people that do the same, and you wouldn't ask me to get on this call to help inspire and share some of these lessons, right? So,
Right.
and that's a piece about replicating yourself. It should be a blessing, not a curse. And unfortunately, sometimes when we are like, where do you find these people? Well, it goes both ways. We don't really attract who we want, what we want, or the relationships we want. We often attract what we are. We might get lucky and attract the opposite sometimes, or unlucky, but through comfort of time, they're either going to stay with you or they're going to leave. So if you're this negative, complaintful, economy's bad, zip code's bad, this is bad, opportunity sucks, this is not for my skin color, how long will a positive, driven, coachable, competitive person that's going to take your business to the next level stick around? Or the friend that's going to stick around? Or the spouse, right? Not long. They're either going to join you or they're going to fire you. And vice versa. Now you're the positive, driven, coachable, competitive, this go-getter, 10 out of 10. You get somebody who's the opposite. Well, they either adapt and they become like you to be comfortable around you, or they're so uncomfortable that they leave. So we attract what we are, not what we want, right? And that's a piece to be careful what you wish for, and also be very careful what you're looking to replicate, because you cannot find the go-getter person. It doesn't happen. You help create them. Adapt, change, and hopefully they can stick around.
When you're looking for that next hire, because obviously with 24 team, right, you hired a lot more people to land on the 24. So, like, one, what are you looking for? But two, how do you know they're probably not going to make it either in your agency?
It's like asking the question, what's a perfect relationship, right? The answer is, I don't know, but I can tell you some of my thoughts. And I've had thousands of hours of thoughts, and I've interviewed, I don't know how many people. 24 doesn't sound like a big army, but in this business to have 24 I mean,
That's
we're
huge.
talking like, I don't know, top 0.2% of people in our business who do that. Um, and not that I think I'm good, better at it or I have answers. I think I just have more hope for people. And I've discovered a few things along hiring and retaining and building talent. One of the things is, you know, people ask the wrong questions like, where do you find? And this is a piece I've shared, and I make a joke. I'm like, don't write this website down. Please don't. It doesn't exist. Amazinghire.com. Like it's not a where question. So I hire where everybody else is. I look for it at a local church. I have job ads on Indeed and Career Plug and ITL Trades. I have a recruiter who goes and, they just kind of go through the disqualifying of the applicants, and then they send me the few that I like. Now, how do I know they're going to make it? I don't. But what I do is I like to hire all of my people. I don't delegate that piece of the business. Like I just still do my payroll and I still do my hiring. Everything else has been delegated. Pretty much everything else. Why? I enjoy those two. I feel like that's a piece that keeps me engaged and active in the talent that I seek and the way I build the business. And that's the beauty about owning your own show is you get to bring the people that you feel like they're going to make you better. I literally just get a candidate on the line and ask them 4 quick questions. And I came up with this acronym like during my internship when I was 21 years old. I called it PDCC, positivity, drive, coachability, and competitiveness. Is it important to be positive in this business? Yes. In a business where the phone rings, where a majority of the reason behind that phone call is a negative interaction, billing issue, claim issue, problem. So it's important to be positive, right? So I'm like, I want to find like-minded people. So I ask about positivity on a scale of 1 to 10. Where would you rank yourself? 1 being I'm very negative, 10 being I cannot be more positive. I just want to hear a good response. 8, 9, 10. How driven are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Is it important to be driven? Yeah, because I remember when I sucked and I saw, the fancy people going to the fancy parties that I wasn't invited to, the $1 million round table, the President's Club. They drove Porsches and Ferraris. I'm like, I want to be that person too. Drive is important. I want team members like that as well. Is it important to be coachable? Yes. And a scale of 1 to 10, I want them to be coachable and give me a story why. And is it important to be coachable? Well, I don't recognize the business or the industry from 5 years ago. So are we going to have to adapt and change together for the next 5? Absolutely. And last one, competitive. I want people to be healthy, competitive, to be the best versions of themselves. If I like it, I'll ask them for a coffee date. We go grab coffee together. If I have a good time with them, they're young, they're coachable. And I also look for them to have good relationship with their siblings and their parents. Now, there are exceptions. Sometimes you might get unlucky because you don't choose your family. But if you cannot get along with people that you're supposed to get along with, how the heck are you going to get along with 24 of my people that you're not supposed to get along with? Like, they're not related to
Yeah,
you,
that's a good point.
right? So you better get good at getting along with people. So if you got those prerequisites, I can teach you the rest. My coaching platform will teach the rest. My culture will teach the rest. My team meeting will bring everything else. So I like to teach. I don't want anybody with experience, anybody I've hired with a big resume. The longer the resume was, the more impressive it was, the shorter they lasted in my office. Shortest was 3 days. The guy came in with like investments, licenses, Series 6, 63, 65, 7, CHFC, PNC, life and health. I'm like, man, this is like, I've been looking for this guy my whole life. Third day, walked him out, told him not to come back.
Wow. Well, how do you sort of like how are you developing this team? I know like you have your training platform, but do you sort of have like a general roadmap that you're looking for when you have a new hire? Like is there certain targets you're looking for? Is there certain things they need to accomplish that says like, okay, yeah, we're making progress here, or how are you managing that? How do you do that?
I try to simplify as much as I can, but so I have the 4 minute mile story in my office where 6 years ago, one of my producers that was writing, again, app count, right? It's kind of a dumb thing to chase, but it's a good measure of success because everything is chased with numbers. Like, how do you know when Seahawks played versus, I don't know, Raiders, they won? Well, that's what the numbers show, right? I don't care how you felt,
Exactly.
the numbers show that they lost. But I
Right.
feel like Lakers won. Yeah, but Clippers obviously won. It was 89 to 82. So so a measure, we had to put a number to it. So for me, again, when 6 years ago, one of my team members was like, Hayk, I keep writing 70 apps a month. What do you think if I crack 100? I'm like, well, that sounds like a good number. Has anybody else done it? I'm like, I've heard of stories of people doing it, just not in this office. Again, excuses, right? Not in the state, and now the other states where there's more auto per household, typical
Sure.
client's different, marketing is different, it's going to be hard. Anyway, she did it, and she hasn't been below that for 6 years, by the way. And then she
Wow.
did two, and then the new hire came in. It's like, what's the quickest somebody's done it? I'm like, we don't have a speed, we just have a standard. He goes, I'll do it first month. He didn't do it first. He didn't do it second. He did it third month. And then he hasn't been below that for 3 years. And then he did two and then three. And then another team member is like, oh, what if I do three? I'm like, he did three. And then this one did 200. And I'm like, what if you guys both do three at the same time? And then I remember we cracked 1,000 apps because they each did two. Another one did 150. Another one did 100. Another one did like 175, whatever. So it's like this cultural thing of how things adapt and change, right? So this 100 app month thing became a thing in my office. Like, what's the standard? Crack 100, and we call that impressive in this office. In some places, I'm like, you throw a party if your team member does it. For me, if they do 100, high five. You'll have
Good
a
job
decent
doing your
paycheck.
job. No.
Yeah. So what do you celebrate matters. In our office, you hit 100, you're doing good. You do anything below that, we're asking you, how can you hit 100? So every single one of my producers is shooting for about 100. I've got 7 of them right now, and I can't tell you that every single one of them hits 100 every month, but I've got few that never miss it. I've got few that are in and out, and I got some that maybe hit it once, maybe hit it twice last year, and they're just between 60 to 80 to 90 to maybe 100.
And you're mentioning too, you have that 6-year team member that's doing over 100 apps and has never dipped below that. Um, Something that like you see a lot of in our industry is maybe there is a good year, 2 years, 3 years with a team member, and then they kind of fizzle out. What's going on at your office that they stick around after doing all of that? I mean, even you did the 3-year run, and then you're like, I'm going out on my own. So why do you think they're staying with you?
Well, it's this fear I have. We've been in business, it'll be 15 years September, right? A few months away from our 15-year mark. And I'm like, every year's been the best year we've been in business. Every year. No questions asked, numbers show. So I have this fear, like, what if next year's the year? I'm like, I've been wrong for 15 years. Because you always think about plateau. And at least that's what happens in the insurance business a lot, right? A lot of them have a few good years, plateau, and then it's done. And I've asked my team for feedback. I'm like, what has kept you so consistent? But I think that goes back to the leader. What is a leader doing to consistently drive positive change? And one of the things that I changed to make sure for them, again, for the numbers to stay the same in an ever-changing environment, there's more customers, more complaints, more issues. So to stay the same, it's harder with everything else changing. So therefore, what are we doing to adapt to the ever-changing environment to stay the same? Which is growing, developing, hiring more people, hiring assistants, delegating more work. So I've been consistently hiring more. I think that is the answer. A lot of people, oh, I already got my team built. I got my 5. Yeah, but did you grow? Yes. Is your team complaining? No. But they're getting more calls. So maybe they're good at what they do, but they don't understand, right? That's why I've hired people at random times, and my team's like, we don't need somebody. I'm like, God forbid we need somebody. When we're hiring because we need somebody, it's too late. It's like going
Right.
to the doctor because you need to go to the doctor. You need the prescription medication. You need the exercise to be prescribed to you. No, I want to do it because I want to, because as soon as you need it, it's too late.
Right. Well, and what do you say to the team member out there, or maybe even the agent, but they're sitting there, they've never cracked 40 apps in a month. Where do they even start to get towards 100?
I mean, honestly, if you can do 40, 50, you can do 100. It's an efficiencies process after that. Like, again, I have team members who are strictly leads. They're writing 150 on average. And I have ones who have never seen what a lead looks like, and they're writing that much too. So what's the difference? Um, I would say they both are very good at that value proposition conversation and making sure they get a referral. And one of my favorite quotes that I'm in front of my team with is Walt Disney's do something so well that people can't help but to tell others about you, right? Because again, there's a lot of this, sales terminology thrown around, and one of the quotes in sales is an average salesperson sells features, a good salesperson sells the outcome, a great salesperson sells feelings, right? And I think by just focusing on the price and coverage, you could do 40, 50. by focusing on how this can solve your problem, an outcome, and talk about a potential problem, and this is what might happen, here's how we can get in there and help you, that's getting closer to feelings, but that's more outcomes. You could do probably 70, 80 consistently. But once you get to the point where that client gets off the phone, they feel good about what they talked about, they feel protected, they feel like they need to go brag about you, and they can't help but to tell others about you because you didn't just do your job well, you also made them feel good psychologically, because most of us make decisions based on what? Emotional intelligence, EQ, not IQ. IQ helps to gather information, which, by the way, we have an amazingly IQ system that builds amazing price models. We don't have to worry about that, right? But EQ, emotional intelligence, that feeling, as when you get a customer who signs up and becomes loyal with you, and 5 years later you ask them, hey, do you remember how you came up with these limits? None of them are going to remember the formula or the needs analysis or the way they came up with the coverage. They're going to remember how they felt. And if they felt good, well, they're going to go to their friends and family and say, look, hey, can I, introduce you to Hayk, because Hayk asked me to introduce more people. And, I don't remember exactly what it is. I like the person, right? So do they like you? Because that feeling carries with them. And can you get a customer to work for you? Because honestly, just having marketing do that for you is too expensive. So can you have customers do some guerrilla marketing, free marketing, to get you more introductions, to brag about you long term? That is what a great salesperson does, is they sell on feelings, and they're consistently asking for introductions. As long as you keep asking at the end of the conversation, hey, one more thing I want to ask you, did you benefit from what I did for you? And really listen. Yes. What did you benefit from?
Mm.
And that's field intelligence. Should
Yeah.
anybody in this business gather field intelligence to know what their customers are looking for? End of the day, customer's always right. And people keep asking, where do you buy leads? I mean, it's very market specific for everything we do. The type of the clients you have are different from mine, and it's different from 3 hours away from now. But how do you know what those clients want if you keep reading general business knowledge and doing general things? Ask your customers, right? So I got my team to be very good at asking for feedback, as in look for patterns, follow patterns, create patterns. And people struggle with looking for patterns, to be honest, like which workout works, which date night works. Like if you look for it, identify it, and then create. Look for pattern, follow pattern, create patterns. As in create a system to repeat what's working really well. So if customers keep telling you, I like the speed, I like the local presence, whatever they might be saying, because that's the demographic you're in, build the business around the compliments you're getting based on the feedback you ask clients. Now also, can you look for a pattern that doesn't work? Sometimes when there's a complaint for customer, we solve the problem, but we don't ask for feedback. No, you should always ask for feedback. Hey, can I ask you, what did you benefit from? Are you happy with the way I solved the issue? Can you give me some feedback? Like, what did I do well? What should we not do it anymore? And part of the value proposition we have in my office is, hey, would you benefit from working with an office that's going to take the problem you just gave me, write it on the board, and review this with the owner and the leaders and the team? We're going to discuss you for like 20 minutes at the next team meeting to make sure that you doesn't happen again. So next time you're happier. Would you benefit from that? Oh, trust me, clients love to be heard, and vice versa. Oh, sounds like you like speed and you like the way I sold value. I'm going to make sure I bring it up to my team so we can do that more, right? Patterns. And 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 that's a piece where we have to be very conditional. It's like, George, would it offend you if I can ask you to introduce me to somebody in your circle that could benefit from what you just said? Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Hard to say no to that,
Yeah,
right?
and George, I hope it doesn't offend you, because that's how I put bread and butter on the table and support my family. Who are you thinking of? Cousin,
I don't know.
best friend? I
I,
don't.
yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
there's always someone that comes to
yeah.
mind,
Who
right?
are you thinking of? And just get the information. Get that information. Like, did you want to give him a day to think about it, or would it be okay if I just call him today? Like, what do you think, George? What's better? And I promise not to bombard them. This is not a call center. I'm just gonna call once, maybe twice, to ask for their permission, because George, two things will happen when I call the person that you're trusting me with. I want to first of all make sure that they thank you for it, right? Because either way, they're gonna thank you for it. Why? Why? Because two things will happen. One, they're either gonna be pissed at their insurance company because they've been getting overcharge for very little coverage, kind of like how you were when you signed up, or they're going to actually be very grateful for what they have because one of the best professionals in the business couldn't touch their deal. So I want them to sleep better knowing that they don't need to shop around. So either way, I'm going to make sure they thank you for the introduction. Does that sound okay? Like,
Sounds
who says
okay.
no to that? Like, why would you
Right.
get 5 leads?
And it's
You
such
can just
a
have that
low
conversation.
pressure approach too. Can I use that? Can I use
All
that in
your,
our agency?
all yours,
That's
my
awesome.
friend. We do
Yeah,
that
that's awesome.
1,000 times a week.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, it's like internet lead close ratio might be 2 to 3%, referral 50%, right? That's that's your leads that your people are working leads, right? The referrals, they just have
Yeah.
a better shot at them, right?
And
Because
and
of how
and
they
the
got there,
and the more clients you have, the more marketing sources you have out there doing work for you. And if they
for
like
sure.
you, they feel good about you. Every single person they know either has insurance or they don't have it and they think they should have it. By the way, those are probably not eligible with us, but we are
Yeah,
marketing something in this country everybody needs. And this is the one of the benefits selling insurance in America. I mean, you go to downtown of any city, the buildings are either owned by insurance companies or by banks. We get to represent one of the best names in the country, one of the best business centers of the world. This is why America is so famous, like why everybody wants to come here and get in the line to get a green card and you can't. It's literally a lottery to win a green card to come to America. People don't understand that. I do. And I think that's an advantage I have over a lot of people because I am grateful to call myself an American citizen. You don't get to do this where I come from.
yeah, yeah. No, there's no agencies out there. Maybe not yet. I want to go back to something you were talking about where you're getting feedback from the clients and you're also getting feedbacks before getting the referral, which I think is really smart. But I think something that I've noticed from talking to you now and from other times I've heard you talk is how you are always gathering feedback, not just from customers, but also from your team. So I don't know what you call these at your office, but I refer to them, and I heard you talk about it as like a hike walk, where like you take a walk, you do like a coffee date with one of your team and kind of do like a one-on-one with them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Can you kind of share what that hike walk is and what you guys cover and what you do with your team?
Yeah. You know, I mentioned that I went through this self-help decade where I was reading all these books and doing nothing with it, you know? And a lot of the common patterns, like look for patterns, follow patterns, create patterns, a lot of great leaders talked about them having their leaders and they do these one-on-ones with them. And a lot of them were doing differently. So I remember at the time I had a good mentor figure. He didn't even know it was a mentor figure of me at church, senior deacon. And as I got to know him over the years of volunteering with him at church, he was very successful individual at a tech company. He was like executive level. We're talking like cloud head of something like head of cloud department. I don't know too much about tech, but I do know he was in charge of like an executive team. He had like 6 people underneath him, and he would, one time I asked him at church, I'm like, hey, would you mind telling me, do you do one-on-ones? He goes, absolutely, religiously once a month. I grab one of my executives and we go grab coffee or tea. We go for a walk on they have a very nice Microsoft campus over here. And and I'm like, can you tell me more? He's like, sure, let's talk after service. And after service, him and I just walk and he's asking me questions. The FORM acronym, FORM, family, occupation, recreation, money. He was literally doing that without even knowing he's doing that. It's our acronym, right? He's like, how's family? You got a business. Do you have time for yourself? Oh, what do you do? Oh, you're running a marathon. Wow, how's that going? Yada, yada. And then it was like a few minute walk. We get to his car and he goes, this is it. I don't skip these. I do this once a month. I'm like, no performance data, no tracker information, no pay stubs. He goes, if they want to bring it, sure, but I make this about them. I make this about just checking in, and sometimes they just want to talk to the leader, just to vent. I'm like, interesting. So I admire the guy, and when somebody you admire tells you jump and you say how high, and for God, almost 10 years, I haven't skipped that. And I do this with my 6. I limit it to 6 people. Why? I read a really good book by Jocko Willink. He's like a commander of Navy SEALs, and he talks about Team SEAL 6. 7's too many. 6 is the perfect number. 5 is not enough. Something about you having 6 people. So I just chose 6, and then I delegate every other one-on-one to my managers who do the one-on-ones as well. And also notice I can really keep up with my 6. So once a month, grab them, we go for a walk. What do we talk about? Whatever. Connecting. Dumb things, good things, smart things, their paycheck, whatever they want to talk about. How are things? How's life? And it's funny, like, do you run out of things to talk about? I've been doing it for 10 years with some of my team members. No. There's always something new happening in their life. And I like knowing, like, I've had cases where they couldn't afford their wedding, so found a way to, shove some cash down their pocket. I found that they wanted to work out, but gym membership was expensive. Volunteered to pay for that. Tires were worn out on their car. They're waiting for the next paycheck to buy tires. I'm like, are you serious? We're gonna go buy tires right now. I'm gonna pay it. I'm not even gonna tax you for it. And those are the things that they remember and go brag to their friends and family about. Not, oh, put the extra money on your paycheck so you can buy your own tires. Like,
Yeah.
you want people that are in your organization to go above and beyond for you, but you're not willing to lead by example. Like it or not, by default, your name's on the door. You lead by example, right? So be careful what you ask for. Like, you're gonna want people to go above and beyond for you. Every leader does, but do you lead with that? Usually, the answer is no.
I mean, that hits pretty hard because I'm thinking, yeah, you're always in the interview, everything. It's like, when's the last time you've gone above and beyond? What's your example of going above and beyond? But yeah, it's like, when was the last time you went above and beyond for your team?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You're doing your walks, you're a deacon, you're running this crazy business, you're an author, an athlete. I'm running out of fingers here, but what is what does a week look like for you to be able to accomplish so much? How do you structure your day, your week? What are you doing? Or is it month? I don't even know.
You know, George, when you said it, like, it sounds like I'm really busy, right? It's honestly not that bad when you're not spending time on BS. Here's an example. So here's my week. I don't work Mondays. Like, my team knows not this. If you're gonna send me something, send me an email that I'm gonna respond to on Tuesday, right? So that's it. Unless it's an emergency. Like, Tuesday is I wake up early. I love making breakfast for my boys. It's one of my favorite things in this world. I make them breakfast. They wake up, get them ready. Wife gets to sleep in, and then I take them to school. And usually, my wife would have a training session. I'll work out after I drop off the kids at school, or we'll do something together. Go to Costco, get some coffee. It's just like my marriage maintenance day, Mondays. Um, Tuesday, yes, I'll get in the office. Usually, I've been here 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and I'll be here for like 10, 11, sometimes 12 hours. So Tuesday to Thursday, I put in all the hours. Literally those 3 days. Wednesday is my team meeting. I don't skip that. If I'm out of town, my team runs it. Thursdays is my coaching, the platform. I have the live call on Thursday, so I haven't missed that in 2 years. Very rarely I might delegate one call to my team. And then Fridays, again, I sleep in because Fridays are the days where my kids go to school later. They have a late start. School starts at 10. Sleep in, wake up, making breakfast, take them to school. Then I come to work like at 10:30, 11, and then depending on the day, and sometimes I might leave early. But after that, I waste a lot of time with family, Saturday through Monday. Again, waste time with family. It's very important. It's really hard to waste time when you feel all this productive in business and this. And as far as training, it used to be early in the morning. Like, all my training used to be done for years, 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 5 a.m. But I got to a point where I'm like, to what extent do I keep, you know,
Sure.
doing all this? So right now, actually, no. I do a lot of my workouts in the evening and afternoons. I get home 6 o'clock. I'll do a 45-minute to an hour workout. This is the first year in 10 years I don't have a race on the calendar. And
Wow.
actually, full disclosure, I called my pastor about 5 months ago, and I haven't been consistently volunteering. I told him, if you want to take my deaconship away because I'm not consistent, please do. Because I remember for like 10 years I was consistent. I barely missed service, and I didn't like that other ones were missing it, right? And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. If you'd like to take away my deaconship, done. You should. And he's like, nope, it's a lifetime thing. It's yours. Take a year off. Just come in as a regular member. So I actually, and Sundays I wake up, I take my son to basketball practice. And while he's at a basketball practice, there's a gym next door. I got another gym membership. Why? Because it's next door. I'm not going to just stare at my son. I go work out. Hour and a half later, I pick him up. We go to church, light a candle, pray, come home, spend the rest of the Sunday with family. Usually it's a birthday get together or we hang out, right? So no, it's not that bad. But once you built a good team, God, it solves so many problems. I don't need to be here. I'm here by choice because I want to, right? So, but it does take a lot to build. So, to build my fitness, it took years and years of commitment, right? To build my team, it took years and years of commitment. And I'm constantly doing it. So, right now, I'm just maintaining a lot of that. And again, this is the first year I don't have a race on the calendar. So, I kind of stepped back on a few things.
Hmm.
But also, I'm all in with the business and all in with the family. So, fitness goals will have to wait another year. So I'm also injured, so it's kind of good time for me to put on some muscle and stop burning through a lot of joints and stuff with all the running and swimming and biking.
So you're living the four Fs then, right? Living the
Yeah,
four Fs.
it's always back and forth. Always.
It's awesome. Well, tell everyone about 100 App Team Member. Where can they find you? How does it work? What should they expect when they get on the platform?
It was introduced by complete accident. It was just I got sick and tired of like explaining the auto value proposition to new hires and then how to pivot to the homeowners and the umbrella and then the life and then how do you go from needs analysis to explaining the premium and how do you go through the underwriting. It was just like 7, 8 hours of training on everybody, right? So I just recorded everything and then people are getting curious about our numbers and I was just sharing these recordings from Zoom with everybody and that turned into this part-time video recording sharing service and a lot of these links were expiring. I had to regenerate new ones. Oh my God. I'm like, okay, this is enough. So I just I hired a developer. We built the site. Now I have like 25 hours of content of how I train my team members. And it's every Thursday I have a live call, different topics, different subjects, sales, heavy life insurance, heavy auto insurance, heavy general sales, heavy health insurance, interviewing my team members a lot on their record months they have. Like in a few weeks, I have one of my service reps talking about how he wrote 16,000 of premium just from service pivots. Uh,
Wow.
I had a call with Jacob how he wrote 400 apps. What the delegation looked like, what the leads look like, what the assistant does, and how he functions after that. So yeah, we don't skip those. Everything's pre-recorded, and also people that are signing up. There's no contract this month to month, and it's for State Farm only, of course, for now. And I think that's the way I'm going to keep it for a little bit. I don't fight the hand that feeds me. That's the way they want me to keep it.
Sure.
And they also have access to book one-on-ones with my top 5 producers. They're part of the coaching
Wow.
program. I pay them handsomely. So as a member, you have access to their calendar. You can book 30-minute coaching sessions, not with they necessarily coach, but with amazing producers who everybody wants their time. So I did that because of the demand, and a lot of people are asking for their time. So I kind of turn it into a way for them to have extra income on the side to help me consult and help coach. And apparently now we're changing lives and getting some agencies to the next level. And to me, that's a scorecard that's not part of my pay, but that's a scorecard I'll take with me until my last breath, knowing that we're making a difference.
For sure. And I mean, it's so smart to have your team involved with it too, because you know how it goes. Like, obviously, you know it, you've done it, you train it, but a team member would rather hear it from another team member.
100%. It removes the bias, right? It's my job to tell people. This is why the company asks agents to come speak at their VPA meetings too, because corporate can be saying the same things, but hearing from agent matters more, and team member hearing from team member matters more.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Here's my last question for you. What's something that you wish I would have asked you about, and what would you have said?
What do I wish you have asked? That's a good question. It's a question about a question. I like it. It's like 2 layers deep. I wish you would have asked me that, do you have everything under control? And I would say absolutely not. Absolutely not. I can't tell you how much I feel like I'm falling short. I'm letting people down. I'm letting myself down. But I think that's the expectation. As in, don't lower your standards. You should be the best athlete you can because you need to be, right? You should be the best employer, best employee, best husband, best dad. But you will drive yourself nuts and let all those pillars fall apart by thinking you can have all those under control. This year, my fitness tank, oh my God, my watch keeps reminding me that my VO2 max is falling. And I track my VO2 max on my Garmin all the time. I'm like, no, so it's okay. I think it's okay. And it's okay to keep your standards high, but change your expectations. But life does not have perfect balance. And I preach about the family, fitness, finance, and friendship. I used to think they have to be all working together. But no, the truth is you have to be working on the biggest monkey on your back. This year it's been business. I'm like, I have all these expectations. I'm doing all the speaking, so I'm really going hard with that. But I can't let family suffer at that, which is why I canceled all the races. I'm kind of glad I got injured, right? So it is what it is. Next year, maybe I'll bring a couple of races back and then I'll tone back a little bit on the business side. But I have toned back on the business too. I'm not working 70-hour weeks anymore, but I used to, right? So I think it's okay to be giving yourself grace and forgiving yourself by sometimes falling short. And if it's something that's really impacting you, just take it one step at a time. Write down some non-negotiables. What are you going to do regardless of how you feel? And you're not going to negotiate with yourself for just 1 year. Because if for 1 year you just did everything you're going to say you're going to do, that might just change your entire life. And this year, I'm still doing everything I said I'm going to. I'm just doing a few things less and a few things more. And nothing's ever under control, and there's never perfect balance. Remove that expectation from your vocabulary. It's just imperfect balance, and just keep working on whatever that day you feel like you need to work on more.
Yeah, just always swinging. If you're going to go down swinging. So love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you have plenty going on. Yeah, thanks again. Really enjoyed talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you, George. Appreciate you,
Take
and
care.
hopefully I'll meet you soon.
Of course.
Take care, man.